Hello again, welcome to another video. Now, in a previous video I went through all the various camera modes on Canon DSLRs. Now, one of them camera modes was Aperture Priority, the camera mode that lets you control the aperture of your camera. Now, you're probably sitting there maybe have wondered, what is aperture and what does it affect in your image? Well, that's what I'm going to go through today, so let's get to it. A lot like shutter speed and ISO, aperture controls the amount of light that's let in. Now, what aperture basically is, it's a set of blades overlapping each other that can close or open to change the amount of light that's being let in. A larger aperture opening will let more light in, and a smaller opening will let less light in. Aperture is measured in f-stops, and a smaller f number, let's say f1.8, will let in a lot of light, whereas a larger f number, like f20, will let in not a lot of light. Now, as you can see from this little two photos here, this is my Practica lens, firstly at f1.8 aperture, the widest it will go, and then here it is again at f4 aperture, which is letting slightly less light in, but not totally closed. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, oh, that's simple, aperture only affects the amount of light being let in. Well, not quite. Aperture also affects the depth of field of your image, where a smaller f number letting in more light will give you a shallow depth of field, whereas a larger f number letting in less light will give you a large depth of field. That's why you usually see portrait photographers using a wide aperture with a smaller f number to isolate the background from the subject, so obviously the subject is the focus. Whereas for landscape photographers, where you want the entire scene from the foreground to the background in focus, they'll usually use a larger f number to ensure that. But also remember that focal length also plays a part here, so you may be able to shoot wide angle at f2.8 and still get a relatively good depth of field. Now, to drive home the point of what aperture can do to your images, here is the same image shot 4 times at different apertures. Now, the first image is shot at f4. As you can see, this gives a very shallow depth of field where the lens is in focus, but the camera is not. Now, the next image is shot at 7.1, the lens is still in focus, but the camera is still out of focus, but to less of a degree as the previous image. Now, the next shot at f11, is, as you can see, the lens is now totally in focus, but the camera is still ever so slightly out of focus, but once again, not to the same extent as the previous 2 images. Now, for the final image, it's shot at f20, as you can see, it is now totally in focus, both the camera and the lens, which, like I said, this is probably what you want for a landscape photograph, to make sure everything is in focus. Now, you've also may have noticed that I've had to change my exposure a fair bit to compensate for this, because obviously f4 is letting in a lot of light, whereas f20 is letting in literally no light at all. But as you can see, I've had to adjust the exposure time in terms of my shutter speed drastically, which obviously this was shot in a relatively dark room, so even at f4 I'm still having to use a relatively slow shutter speed. But by the time I get f20, I'm pretty much having to expose it for 30 seconds using a tripod. Now, this isn't the only way to do this. You could also increase your ISO settings, but this would introduce a lot of noise into your image, which isn't usually desirable. Now, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you understand a bit more about what aperture does and how it can affect your image. I'll be releasing a couple more videos in the next couple of weeks explaining what shutter speed is and ISO. But, like I said, that'll be for another time. Now, leave a like if you like the video, maybe even leave a comment if you have some feedback for me, and that'll be it for this video. Bye!